Hey guys, Julie here, and today I have a special video for you. A bit of a walk through memory lane of some of my homemade DIY art supplies, which I know a lot of you are coming from those videos. I think my most popular one is my botanical ink video, which, and forgive how dusty these are. They've been sitting under my bed for ages, so I cleaned them out. You can still see some residue there. This was from my homemade inks. And I actually bought more of these bottles because I was planning to make more inks. I haven't done that yet. It's still part of my plans, foreshadowing, so stay tuned if you want a part 2, like 4 years later. This is actually an old Ferrero Rocher tin. Nice and handy for my inks. While I was cleaning out my space, I actually found, and again, sorry they're so dusty, some old inks that I kept that are like very kind of nasty looking. But whatever didn't fit in these containers, I put them in these little cosmetic containers, which I purchased on AliExpress for the sole reason of storing my homemade art things. You could see there's like mold growing. That's so gross. I'm gonna wash these out, probably soak them in warm soapy water. That way I can reuse them. You can see here, oh my god, this is so dusty. You know what, let me grab some wet wipes. I didn't want to dust them off beforehand because, I don't know, I wanted this to be more realistic, but it's kind of gross how dusty they are. You could tell they haven't been touched in years. The bark seems to be doing okay. I don't see any weird residue. I don't know if I'm gonna test it out on paper. I might. Some of them are dried up. Let's see, like the avocado. Ew, sorry. This one's all dried up. That's a really pretty color, isn't it? The video I made on botanical inks is still my favorite to this day. I really enjoyed the whole process of filming it, and also creating art with it, going foraging for some dye materials with my sister in North Vancouver. It was just such a memorable time, especially during COVID. Everything was a little bit scary and up in the air, so it was nice to just forget about things for a while and just enjoy spending time with my sister. And I really love the message that I put out there about making art with natural materials and how it's unpredictable and how it's not going to be light fast, and that's the beauty of it. You really never know what you're going to get. Nature can be very inconsistent. It's important to lean into that inconsistency when you're creating art with natural materials. I'll link all of these DIY videos down below if you're interested. But this one was definitely my favorite. The colors actually did shift quite a bit since filming this, so it's interesting to see how different it was versus when I actually created the art piece. Next, I have some lovely pigment powders. These were from different eras. We have, this here, Ivy. I actually forgot that I made pigment powder out of Ivy. I don't think I posted this one. I know there were some pending videos that I never got around to posting. Turmeric. This one still smells like turmeric. It still does. The rest of them are unscented, but this one definitely does. Basically, I boiled a bunch of turmeric. I added aluminum sulfite and washing soda, and then filtered all of the particles out, let it dry on a coffee filter, and then with the dried bits that were left over, I grinded them down to create a pigment powder, which I mold to create some watercolors. So this one was made using red cabbage, and they are very beautiful colors. The thing is, once you mold them with your watercolor binder, they're not as bright as they appear here. And I know some people are, they make really beautiful aluminum sulfate based pigment powders, but I just wasn't able to crack the code. I totally forgot that I made pigment powder out of black bean. These are fairly sentimental, but I'm never going to use them. So I guess this video is kind of an homage of sorts to this era of creating art supplies. And I'm probably going to toss these out and clean them up just like with the inks. Oh, avocado. This was really cool to witness. Creating paint with avocado pits. The pits would change colors once I added the aluminum sulfite. They'd go from being this sort of dull orangey brown color to this bright red. And it was so beautiful to witness. Onion, made with onion skins. I have red cabbage plus lemon, playing with the acidity to see how it affects the color. As you can see, it became a pale blue versus a bright bluish purple. It almost looks like a gray on camera. Then the last one, beets. This really lovely pink color. In terms of pigment powder, another thing I experimented with was creating watercolors using chalk pastels. So these are just leftover pigment colors from those chalk pastels, which I still have a ton of those pastels left because I don't really use chalk pastels, so it was very experimental. My watercolors ended up being super runny, but they were still fun to work with. I didn't know much about color theory, so I was just mixing a bunch of random colors together, and they ended up being a bit muddied, but it was a cool way to experiment. Pigment powder is becoming more accessible, but it's still fairly expensive compared to chalk pastels, especially if you're just starting off in your paint mulling journey. And what I use to mull those paints is this homemade muller, which I created purchasing this candle holder from Michael's for like $2. I roughed down the bottom and I stuck the handle of an old toilet plunger. It was never used, it was just sitting in my dad's garage, and it was the perfect fit. So we super glued it on, and this was my muller for a long time. This I'm gonna keep because it still works, it's still useful. I have a proper muller, but I like this one. It's sentimental. And if I ever invite my friends over to make paint, at least we'll have two to work with. This here is the result of all of my lovely pigment powders, both homemade and crushed chalk pastels. How gross is that? So these are, I mean, you could tell which ones were made with chalk pastels because there's binder in chalk pastel. So when I used my watercolor binder with the crushed chalk pastel, they ended up being super tacky and they're still a little bit sticky. But I mean, the color is great. They do work well. You could tell these ones were made with my natural dye materials. Don't ask me which is which because I can't even begin to tell you. I do actually have shorts on my channel that show you what these look like because I swatched them 3 years later. Creating my own watercolors using my homemade naturally based pigment powders, that was truly a journey. It was time-consuming, frustrating, and gave me a whole new appreciation for not only natural materials, but also the process of creating art supplies. And even though I didn't love the piece I created with it, that piece is very special and sentimental to me because of the whole process that it took to create it. Here they are. These ones probably be tossing. I don't even know if I want to keep these ones too. I haven't touched them in years. I mean, they still work fine, but I don't really need them. Let me know what you think I should do with them. Again, I ordered these tins off of AliExpress. I ordered a bunch of them, along with these pans. I thought I would get into paint making and it would be my thing. And then I'd start an Etsy shop or something. That never ended up happening. Out of all the art supplies I created, my absolute favorite is this watercolor palette. I made it in a local hand building class, and I don't know why, but turtles have always been my favorite animal. So I really wanted to make a palette shaped like a turtle, and this is what I came up with. As you can see, I didn't properly seal the little gaps, so whenever I wash it, paint just gets stuck in these little crevices here. And in order to get it out, I have to use a small toothbrush or some kind of a brush. Despite that, I really love this guy, and sometimes when I run out of space here, I'll end up putting a little bit of paint on his little legs because there's a small well for it, which was unintentional, but hey, it works. This is my favorite palette by far. I love it so much. Oh, hello, my friend. Who is that? What are you doing? Hey, buddy. Meow. Hi. Maybe he wants to come inside. Hey. Hello. Do you want to come inside? No? In or out? What will it be? So after this class, I took another pottery class and I ended up making this. This is probably my least favorite palette. I was not expecting it to get all speckly. I was surprised when it came out of the kiln looking like this, when I expected it to look more like this. I don't like that it's gray, I don't like the speckles, but I mean, it's useful. I use it. I use it when I run out of other palettes. It's kind of my last resort palette. You know what? I use it a lot with gouache. So maybe I'll make this my designated gouache palette. I took another pottery class, and this time I made a few other palettes. I made these cute baby ones, and these were actually meant to fit into this container. So I measured it out, I traced it precisely, and of course, items shrink once they're out of the kiln. I didn't think it would shrink by this much. So now it's just this tiny little palette, but I love how cute they are. In that same class, I made this palette here. Again, it ended up shrinking and it's not perfectly level. It kind of warped a bit. I was also hoping to do 2 layers of the white glaze, but I had so many items to glaze, I did not get to it. So this is 1 layer of glaze, but I like it. I really do like it. And I've learned from my mistake with this one and made sure to seal my edges. This, on the other hand, it's still wet. I just tried to wash it off, but again, I couldn't get the corners. This was a rushed version of this one here. I took one of these guys because we only had 10 minutes and I just pressed it into these with no rhyme or reason. They're all crooked, none of them are straight. And then I took one of my pottery tools and I made a place to hold a brush. So this is the ugly version of this one here because I did not have time. I do find it cute, even though it's a bit wonky and very amateur. And one of my new favorite palettes is this big one here. And again, I really wish I had the time to do 2 layers of glaze. That way it would be a lot brighter, like the turtle is. You can see the difference. And I'm not sure what happened here. It looks like I got a drop of glaze in a different color there by accident without realizing. I don't mind it. I think it's cute. It's like a little beauty mark. So here's my big ceramic palette. I've always wanted a massive ceramic palette. And again, it shrunk a lot. So I thought it would end up being a bit bigger, but it's a great size. I'm happy with it. It's, again, a little wonky, but yeah, you can really tell. It's very warped, but it works. And I really like this palette. I'll probably make more palettes so long as I'm taking pottery classes. It's something I enjoy doing. This mug I got at Comic-Con here in Vancouver, and what I keep in it are, apparently a lot of dust and homemade crayons. This was a fun process. I used a combination of pigment powder and also oil pastels melted down in order to get color, to see which one would be better. They're super waxy. They're not very fun to use. This one here was made using a yellow ochre powder. But you know what? It was a fun process. I actually used this cosmetic tube to make it, which is why there's a hole in the middle here. What I learned from these guys is I probably should have used more pigment powder because the color wasn't very good. I wrapped them in craft paper and some washi tape to make them all cute. That was a fun project, actually. Next cue, the era of homemade paper. I incorporated old newspaper bits that my dad found at a reno site, along with some dried flowers. My paper ended up being super textured, and as you can see, it's very stiff. So it's a bit hard to work with. I don't really know what to do with these, and I had tons of sheets left over, but they were just taking up so much space, I ended up recycling them. What someone advised in one of my videos on paper making was I should have redone the process with these papers since the sizing was already incorporated into it, and hope that they turn out less stiff. And that is actually a genius idea. I didn't even think about that. But guess what? I did actually go out and buy more cotton. So I'm gonna attempt this again, but on a smaller scale. Rather than making my own mold, I ended up buying one that's a lot smaller and hopefully easier to manage. And I'm hoping with this size I could actually work out of my kitchen instead of setting up a place outside. I'm thinking of using one of my mom's big casserole dishes, and we'll see what we can do with this. I've learned a lot about the art of paper making through this process, and I've learned especially how much work it is. And how much great paper, especially handmade paper, it's just so time consuming, and you just learn to appreciate it a lot more. This is something I created just to show you how the paper works, and this was done using watercolors. So you can see it does work pretty well. Didn't really bleed through too much. The paint absorbed into the paper well. The only issue is it's so stiff and textured. But I got a lot of advice from you guys on how to approach this next time. So once I do it again, I think I'll do a better job. This was a fail. This was a big fail. I don't like looking at this one, but I'm trying not to throw out any of my art. I do like that you could really see different elements here. For this paper, I actually laid the elements on top, whereas for this sheet here, I actually mixed it all together. And something I created recently. Let me know how you like this book if you're reading it. I really like it, and the cover is beautiful. Something I made recently is this bookmark here. Because it's so stiff, I realized, oh, it's kind of perfect for bookmarks. Pretty cool, huh? Lastly is my watercolor saga. This is a tea box, actually. It's perfect because I could keep it enclosed, but it also allows air to flow through, so it's great for letting my handmade paints dry. These were some old portraits I painted. Some are better than others. And then there are some failed ones. I guess it's where I hide my portraits, whether they turn out good or bad. There are some here that are ready to paint, just itching to be painted. This was actually made using baking soda clay. I thought it would be cute to make these tiny little ink cups or palette. I don't know what you would even call them. So my intention was to glaze it, but it didn't really work out and it started to crack. So I think air dry clay would be a better way to go about this if it's something that I decide to pick up again. So here is my beautiful gold paint that I always go back to. For some reason, the paint in this palette, even though it's already dried up, it's so much more beautiful than this paint here. And I don't know why. This one just doesn't turn out sparkly. This one does. So I'm not sure what happened there. Oops. I tried to do something a little different and incorporate some of the gold into these paints, but because it's sort of a bronzy color, it ended up muting them, so it doesn't look as nice. But these are made using store-bought pigment powders, and this is all part of my paint making journey, which to be honest, I didn't love. Again, here are the cosmetic containers that were meant to house wet paint so that I could pour them into these pans here, but as you can see, they've already dried up. And in terms of paint making, these are some of my handmade paints here. I really like this bright turquoisey color. This one as well. I know for some of these, oh look, the magnet's coming off. For some of these you can see that the pigment particles are separated. So it definitely works very differently to store-bought paints. It's also a very time-consuming process, and it's definitely not for me. I still have tons of pigment powder that I have to get through. It's something that I pick up maybe a couple times a year, but it's never something that really sticks.
One, two, three.
So here you have it, my collection of art supplies. Things that worked out, things that didn't, things that I'm ready to let go of, and things that I'm willing to pick up again. It really has been one heck of a journey, and I've definitely gained a whole new appreciation for art supplies in general, especially the handmade stuff, because man, it takes a lot of work. I truly hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you're inspired to make some of your own art supplies. And until next time, stay creative. Peace. Oliver. Oh my god, you just stepped in my pigment powder. What are you doing? Oh jeez, this cat. And you ruined my sheet. Okay, no, don't lick that. Hold on.